Hey, and welcome to the Dangerous Creatives podcast. If you're growing your photography or creative business, you're in the right place. Each week, we deliver a workshop-style solo show, expert interview, or motivating story from our community so you can tune in to find encouragement, motivation, and ideas to help the right people find you and your amazing work. I'm your host, Kristin Sweeting. I'm a photographer and coach, and my favorite thing is helping dangerous creatives just like you stand out in a world that just wants us to blend in. I'm glad you're here. Let's dive in. Well, hey, and welcome to the Dangerous Creatives podcast.
Hi.
Hi, Liz. I'm so excited you're here. So today we have my friend Liz Allison on the podcast in your beautiful kitchen. I hope people are watching the clips or on YouTube so they can see your beautiful kitchen. I mean, I'm so curious about your house too, because you bought it and have renovated like the whole thing, right?
Yeah, all ourselves. So it's been a labor of love.
I mean, had you done that before, or did you just kind of like acquire the skills as you went?
Okay, a little bit of both. I come from a family that my dad was a contractor, my mom's an interior designer. So spent my whole childhood going to flea markets in Nashville and, and buying antiques when I was like 13. Not your normal what you would do on the weekends, but I've always been an old soul. So I think having that background then I think leveraged me to be like, it's not a big deal. Let's just try renovating a house. So it's our first house we ever bought. It needed some love. And so we were like, we will do it ourselves. So here we are.
The before and after pictures of your kitchen are incredible. Like the love that y'all have put into it. It just
I
looks
need to
so
do
cool
a
now.
whole video that's like what we bought and what it is now because it is wild. I mean, it is wild what a few years will give you. It's amazing.
And I think that's true for everything. I'm so excited to hear more of your story and to
Yeah.
share it with our audience because I see so many through lines with, your house, your creative journey, your businesses. Because when we met, you were only doing photography.
Right.
And so maybe catch us up on, do a little intro for the people listening of where you've been, where you're at now, and kind of what your creative work is looking like these days.
Okay, well, buckle up. It's quite a ride. Yeah, so I first met Kristin through the photography world. It probably had to have been 10 years ago. I was predominantly shooting weddings, and so, early 20s, all my friends are getting married, and I just the business found me. I didn't really find it. It just kind of happened. So I started actually my business in high school doing senior portraits, and I shot my first wedding at 17 and just kind of kept the business running through college. I helped pay my bills, and I don't think I ever had this set dream to become a photographer. It just happened. And I think, I tried really hard to make it what I wanted it to be, but something kind of always felt off. Um, and I think there's a season and time for everything, right? So I think being a wedding photographer was so good for learning business skills and how to build and be an entrepreneur. There's so many incredible life lessons I had from it. But after I graduated college with a fine art degree, yeah, I had choices to either just continue my business that I had built or go back to grad school, and I just decided to do business, and I'm so grateful for that. And you were my coach, I think, for the first round of Dangerous Creatives.
Yeah.
And a couple questions I had from it was, should I pursue art and photography? I kept having that question in the back of my head. And I think that's a sign that your body, your mind, your life, it knows what you want to do. Deep down inside, it knows what you want to do. So
For sure.
now I'm a full-time painter, and I think it just fits. It just fits my life so well. I love getting my hands dirty. I love creating something from nothing. And I think it was we can talk more about it. But it was quite the journey to go from photography to painting, but it also wasn't going rogue. Everything builds on each other, right? So I'm so glad that here I am doing painting full time internationally. So it's fun.
I know. Oh my gosh. So if you're not familiar with Liz, you need to definitely go check out her art because you have been painting murals now, like
Yeah.
large paintings. How did that kind of evolve? Because I know for a while, it was mostly your photography on your Instagram. I think every photographer or artist kind of feels this too of like, if I share another part of myself, am I gonna blow up my life? Am I going to blow up my business? And like you would start sneaking pictures in of you painting and of your paintings and of your work. And it just
hmm
always was so lovely. But like, how did it go from that to these large murals in these historic homes that you're doing now?
Yeah. Well, I think the worst advice I ever heard was niche down. And they're like, be so specific on what you want. And I think that as a creative, that just stifles you. I think if you are a creative person, you probably like a lot of things. Like it goes hand in hand. You're
Yeah.
gonna like fashion, you're probably gonna love gardening, you're probably gonna like cooking, you're gonna like really beautiful documentaries, you're gonna enjoy videography and photography and painting and fashion, like, all the things, interior design. So I think niching down, it just it'll it's I think the worst advice you can give a creative. I think you need to feed yourself holistically. And so I was nervous as a photographer to post about painting, but I also got such great feedback when I did. And I think it made people realize, oh, she's not just a photographer, she's a true artist. She's going to approach,
Yeah.
a photography session in such a creative way. I want her. It made me different, I think, than every other photographer. Um, and I think I'm an old soul anyways, and so I photographed film, which, Kristin, is like magic, and there's something
Yeah.
different about it than digital. And so I kind of tell people that, like, my photography helps me be a great painter, and being a great painter helps my photography. And how I got to this mural, like, world is that I bought this house in 2022, needed so much help. My husband's a carpenter. I have my interior design, like, fascination, and I thought, well, my house can be my canvas. And so, how people say, like, think outside the box? I think as an artist, I need to think outside the canvas. I didn't need to
Totally.
be like so stifled into I can only paint on canvas. And I think for a long time, I felt like it had to be so 2D. Like I only could paint on paper or draw on paper, and I can only paint on a canvas. And I think when I realized and let myself have the freedom to like paint on the walls, it was really just for me. It was for my kids. My first mural was for my child's nursery, and it was this like beautiful English countryside scene with like a river going through it and sheep. It was inspired off of Psalm 23. Um, and it was just so peaceful, and I enjoyed it so much. And when I posted about it, I got great feedback from people. But it didn't start there. Like you would think, oh, it launched from there. I think I continued to do photography after that. And it wasn't until after I had my second baby. And I had somebody in my life kind of challenge me and say, "Oh, you probably won't paint after you have your second baby. Like, give it up. Like, hang up the paintbrushes, essentially."
What?
And something in me like lit up. I was like, "No, I'm still Liz. Like, I'm still a person. Motherhood is a part of who I am, but it's not everything." And so I remember I put that baby in its carrier. He was just a few weeks old, and I painted my kitchen backsplash. And at that time, we just couldn't afford tile. And so I was like, well, what do I have around the house that's free? House paint. And so I just made this mural just from whimsy, like just from inspiration. And it took like 2 days. And it was just, I was inspired being in my own house. And I think motherhood kind of lit something in me too of like, I can still create, and he can make me even more creative because I'm not going to just spend time doing random creative endeavors. It's going to have to be worth my time, right? You get it, being a mom. You want, yeah,
Totally.
you want to make sure it's worth your time, what you're giving up. And so, yeah, I posted that, and that went viral on Instagram. I got like 1 million views.
Oh
And
my
then
gosh.
people started reaching out to me and being like, "Hey, I'm a designer. Would you come in and paint, in my house. And so then that's kind of how it snowballed. And this was like probably 18 months ago. So it's all kind of fairly new, and yet
Oh
it's
my gosh.
taken off, which is like I'm just so humbled and grateful. Like I just feel so thrilled that this is like my career. I'm doing murals full time, and but I also am taking on other creative projects. So I'm still photographing like my own products. So that's that photography like background. And then I'm now painting. I'm doing a line of murals on tiles, and also doing Delft tile line. So it's in this all creative, decorative arts movement, right? So it's like art lived in. So that's kind of a little bit of my background on how I got to this part of my my creative journey.
I love that. I mean, can you think back to, maybe a couple years ago when you were right in the middle, the painting hadn't taken off? Like, were there real fears or struggles with like releasing a bit of the photography or putting yourself out there in a new way or being more visible? Like, what was that season of life like for you before it popped off?
Yeah, good question. I think, yeah, there is so much good work that happens in the quiet, in the faithful of the mundane. And I think that's any part of life, right? Motherhood, doing the dishes. But I also believe it's so important that you don't have to have a lot of followers to be an artist. You don't have anyone else tell you that you're famous because you're an artist, like, or that you make a lot of money and that makes you an artist. Like, you get to decide if you're an artist or not. And I think there's an imposter syndrome that comes with that. But I think it's a really beautiful calling. And I think I had to claim, hey, when people ask, well, what do you do? It was important for me to still call myself an artist and a painter, even when I wasn't at the peak of my career. And I think if I
Yeah.
had any advice to anybody, it would be paint and do the work, even when you feel like it's not going anywhere, because everything builds on each other. I mean, when it was 2020, I don't know how your business went, but like no weddings were happening, and if they were tiny, and then we were having to cut prices, and like photographers were just scrambling. And so for me, I decided to do like a fun experimental project where I was in my studio away from everybody, and I called it Places of Peace. And I just painted places of like where people would travel, and I thought, if people can't go places, what if like art came to them and it kind of gave them like an escape? And I think that was a huge moment for me. I had a lot of support. It wasn't a lot of people, but it had a lot of support and encouragement. And so that's just one of the many stepping stones to where my career is now, is that it wasn't so random that I went from photography to art, because people had seen me post a little bit here and there. And then, yeah, I think I had a cutoff. I had to decide one day, no more weddings, so that I can leave room to grow in the art, like painting world. And so that
Yeah.
decision came with having my second child and being like, okay, I don't want to give up my weekends with my kids. And yeah, I put a full stop about 2 years ago. And there was a couple months in that time where I had no painting and no photography, and it was really nerve wracking. But what's that quote? It's like leap and the net shall appear. Like, I think that if you build it, people will come. I think, yeah, you've got to take a chance on yourself. And I had to believe that if I could have that entrepreneurial spirit with photography, I could do it with painting. I just had to land in that right niche. And I think murals is something not many people do. I'm like one of the only people in America that does it. And so I think you also have to find your little pocket where there's not an oversaturation in the market. So I think that just
Yeah.
happened to be murals, and now tiles, painted tiles for me. So yeah, nerve wracking, scary, but anything that's scary means it matters. So it was worth it.
For sure. I love that quote too, the leap and the net will appear. And I
Hmm.
think something I keep noticing in your story is the really intentional space that you leave for magic to happen. I think
Hmm.
a lot of times when we have a lot of fear, and there's a reason I think a lot of creatives are fearful about their life or their business or their finances, but fear a lot of times fills the gaps and it keeps us from like leaving space for these magical opportunities to come in.
Yeah.
And so I love that that's kind of a big through line in your story too, of like you have to create the space, you have to like trust that something is coming, and then like continue to walk towards that.
And I think it matters that you trial and error. Like you have to let yourself fail some points. Like I had no idea how to paint a mural. I'd never done it before. I didn't take a course. There's really not many YouTube videos of it. So I just played. And it's funny because like I played in my own house. Like if you can meet your own need in your own space, I think that's where you should start. Like what is it about authors? They say, write the book that you want to read. And I think as creatives, like make that thing that you feel like is missing. It's like a gap in the creative realm. And I think you'll find your niche.
Yeah. Did you ever have a mural that you just completely bombed and you like painted over it and restarted? Like
Absolutely. Yes. And what's great is like, oh my gosh, paint is such a forgiving medium. Paint over it, right? I tried in our living room. I painted like a wallpaper, like vines and flowers. It was really pretty. I just realized I don't have the energy for this and I really don't want to do it. And so I hired someone to wallpaper over it. And the wallpaper guy was like, confused. He was like, "Are you sure you want me to wallpaper over this hand painted?" And I was like, "Absolutely, yeah, it's okay. I don't have to paint every room in my house. I'm doing enough of it for my job." So yeah, I think also just being okay with starting over and just saying, "Hey, it's wash," and that's okay. You don't have to post
Yeah.
everything.
I love also that your home and parenting and motherhood has really inspired your career too, and even like let you
Yeah.
dream or let you up level or whatever. What are some of the ways that you feel like motherhood has allowed you to grow in a different way or inspired you with your art?
Good question. I mean, going back to what I said earlier of your time is just so limited in parenthood. And so, whatever you spend your time or free time doing outside of parenting, it's really got to be worth it. And so, I started asking myself actually, like, who do I want to be in my 40s and 50s? And I'm still going to be a parent at that point. So, like, what do I want to be? And it was really clear I did not want to be a wedding photographer. And that was like a really telltale sign for me of like, oh, this is not sustainable. I'm building something that may one day have an ending date. But with painting, I really could see myself being a painter till the day I die. Like I could see myself being 70 years old in like a cottage with like, painting on canvas and teaching classes. And yeah, so I think that asking yourself, who do you want to be in 10 years and building towards that. And then with motherhood, I actually really enjoy traveling. Kristin, I think the first time we actually met in person was in Paris, right?
I mean, that seems like how it should have happened, you know?
Yeah, the Eiffel Tower. It was a romance novel. So like Kristin, I really value travel and teaching my kids based on culture and um I think taking jobs specifically that allow me to travel, that's also been a way that parenthood has shaped me is I can bring my kids to Switzerland and France and England and yeah, or take them to New York or wherever. That's also helped me narrow like what projects I take on and how many I take on. And yeah, it's allowed me in the best possible way to have to filter really specifically and not just take on any job, but like, is this going to be good for my family? Is this going to be good for my children? And then going back to the story about me painting postpartum, I think it's so important if you're a runner or if you are a chef or if you're a painter, you have to keep that version of you even as you evolve and become a parent because your kids are going to see the model that you set. You don't want to lose yourself in an identity that, yeah, I've just seen a lot of people just lose themselves in motherhood and that part, it actually helps. I think parenting actually helps you find the right version of yourself. It filters it. It makes it yeah, what needs to stay and what needs to go. And so I would say I love being a mom and I love my children and I also have a complete dream and desires and goals outside of that, but it's also incorporates it. So yeah, I think that's kind of what I would say about motherhood.
Yeah, I love that, and I think like being able to show your it's like we want for our children to be in career paths that they love and to build
Yeah.
lives that they love, and like what a beautiful thing to get to model that for them.
Yeah, and my husband does it too. I mean, he built every cabinet in this house. He's done all the built-ins. Like he's literally learned electrical and plumbing for this house. And I think it's so important that the our kids will know that yeah, you can also have a trade. Like you can do skills besides just go to college one day. Like there are so many opportunities outside this world. I mean, not this world. So many opportunities outside of like our little home world, you know. So I want
Yeah.
them to know that trades are possible and that making beauty is such a beautiful calling, whether you're a carpenter, photographer, but I think my kids will be creative and that makes me really, really happy.
Yeah. Can you share more about one of the trips or one of the travels you've been able to do that kind of incorporated your family and your art and kind of what that looked like?
Yeah. Let's see. I got to spend 6 weeks in Europe with them this past spring. I had four murals, so I had three in England and then one in France. And then we had some friends in Switzerland. So got to bring them along. It was hard. I'm not going to sugarcoat it.
Yeah.
Traveling with kids is really tough. However, I have lots of stories to tell from it that are just like make you laugh and you're just like, okay, that's just part of their story. And then um I really just had to yeah, manage what it meant to be a mom at nighttime and what it meant to be a worker during the day. And you have to have some great boundaries and there's mistakes made, but we did bring a nanny and my husband helped. And so all these things kind of helped allow that vision to come true. But I think nothing beats when my son got to FaceTime. He's only 4 at this point. He got to FaceTime his preschool in front of the Eiffel Tower and was like, look at
Oh.
where I am. And all of his friends were like, oh, we've only seen that in books and like little children illustrations. And he was like, I'm here in person. And so, yeah, giving them those opportunities at such a young age is just so priceless. And to travel a lot while they're not in like official school is also really helpful. They're young and we can fly free with my youngest. And there's also some really cool things about culture. Like people, you can meet and make so many friends with children. I think it's like dogs and kids. Like people are just attracted to talking to them and talking to you. And so I think it's really special to make friendships that kind of honestly, I've made some friendships that last a lifetime by traveling and meeting people on subways and buses and trains. And yeah, not I think a lot of Americans are afraid of traveling with their kids. And I when I go to Asia or you know, Europe, I think it's a really big part of their culture is to travel. So I think it's just a fun, unique part of our family DNA is to not only travel, but then learn about other people. And I get inspiration going to museums and new food. So yeah, I think it's, you have to accept the hard. You have to laugh at it. And then you also have to have like, okay, maybe 5 weeks was a little too long. So you learn from your mistakes.
Maybe a little shorter next time. Maybe,
Yes.
yes.
Yeah,
Totally.
absolutely.
I think that's so beautiful, though. And, the way that you kind of pull inspiration from everyday life and from traveling. And do you
Hmm.
kind of take the things that you see in museums and on your travels, like, do you see those directly put into your murals at this point? Like, or like it more is a feeling that you get to kind of accumulate for yourself?
That's a good question. I think a little bit of both. One of my favorite books is The Artist Way. Have you read that?
Yeah, I
And
love it.
she talks about going on artist dates, like take yourself out on an artist date. So I love
Hmm.
going on museums and being like, this is my art date to myself. Like learn from all these other people. Like I walk through a museum and I get chill bumps, Kristin. Like I'm like, oh my gosh, this is so crazy that I'm standing in front of a Da Vinci right now. So sometimes I would say my style is kind of between realism and impressionistic. And I think it's really important to not just go to museums and look at the paintings themselves, but also see the architecture. Most of the time, it's in really cool like train stations in Paris, or like an old, yeah, just an old palace. And then I think just so it's healthy one for artist dates, and then two going to museums and learning about the life of an artist, the history, to be completely honest, most artists that we know of that are famous now actually suffered greatly in
Yeah.
their when they lived and they didn't have success. Like I think about the greatest artists of all time did not know success during their lifetime. And so I think that's a really good lesson for me to remember is that success doesn't always equal recognition and it doesn't always equal money and monetizing it. Sometimes it's just being faithful to the call, like faithful to create because you know that it's like your voice in this specific time of history. So I think that's also a big life lesson when I go to art museums. I'm like, okay, they didn't always see what we see. They probably didn't even know that they'd be in a museum. So I think that's fascinating.
100%. I know. And it like is sad too to think about, they brought so much joy to people
Yeah.
posthumously and you're like, I wish they got to see that, But I think
Yeah.
you're right in that there is joy in the creation and it doesn't always have to be a product or monetized for
Hmm.
it to
Hmm.
be like worthy of your attention. Um
Totally. Yeah.
And I think even coming from that place, that grounded place, can sometimes like, have you found that it has helped you on the business side or on the monetization side for you to kind of come from that place of feeling just inspired to make the art?
Hmm. Yes and no. I would say if you want a successful art business, you can't just only create when you feel inspired because then you won't really make a lot of art.
Yeah.
It's just true. I don't always paint when I feel inspired because I'm, booked and this is like when my flight is and this is it. So you have to learn how to cultivate leading up to the job, right? So resting is huge. I don't think we talk enough about rest as an artist and entrepreneur. Like you can't work 7 days a week and think that you're gonna just be on it. Like you've got to rest. You've got to let your brain just have its refuel. Um, so I think I think inspiration also is a huge fuel for me. Just showing up is the hardest part. Yeah, and I think actually treating your job like it's a 9 to 5 is also huge. Like make business hours for yourself. I've had to hire assistants because I love the accountability and I love the team dynamic. So inspiration definitely has a huge part to it. But if you want to see your art grow into a business and not just to create for a hobby, I think there are some parameters that you have to accountability you need for yourself.
Yeah.
Would you agree?
Oh, yeah. I mean, getting in the practice of kind of showing up for what you say. I think doing what you say you're going to do is so
Yeah.
important to be in a successful business. But I'm with you that there's a balance of like the rest and inspiration and then getting out there and working and then always
Hmm.
having kind of that retreat on the back end too. But
Totally.
yeah, I think that, I mean, I'm not a very I naturally don't like systems, but as I've implemented them into my life and business, everything's gotten so much better and also more peaceful.
Yeah, and I think that anyone can learn systems, right? I think it's the art, the creativity that can't really be harnessed and taught. It's kind of like innate. And so you just like you be the best version of that for you and hire other people that do the things that you just are not good at. There's going to be someone out there that's amazing at admin and they can learn that in school. They can't learn like that like gut sense of being an artist. That's just kind of like you have it or you don't. So I think you just run after what you're good at and hire out what you're not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, speaking of the business side of things, what are some of the skills that either you have or have had to develop that you think have really propelled the business side of what you're doing?
That's a good question. Yeah, like what we're talking about systems, like getting a really great accounting system. That sounds so boring, but it's real. Like, how do you charge your clients? And being a
Yeah.
photographer was awesome at learning that. And I want to keep going back to whoever's listening to this and they're like, oh, I just rather be in this different stage of life. There's a reason this stage of life is serving you. Like, I had to learn the really boring, like, editing skills and, like, just the normal scheduling and planning. That's huge. And then so to see my business grow, I think that creating a team has definitely allowed me to just expand. Um, having set hours, especially being a mom. It's helped me. Okay, my kids are gone from 9 to 1, so those are my business hours. So
Mm-hmm.
being a mother has actually let me, I can do better work in those like 4 hours than I can do like 12 hours before I had kids because I'm just like zoned in, right?
Oh, yeah, I agree so much. I'm like, man, when you give yourself less time, you are so efficient.
So efficient. Yes. Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at. And then I don't know, there's something about not being afraid. I think that you have to be okay with like trying different things. And they always say, I don't know who the they is. Well, I want to know who the they is, but keeping different streams of income, I think it's super important. So although I am really gifted in murals and painting decorative art, like, folk art or whatever it is on walls, I wanted to expand my business just in case, one day I can't travel to France and Canada and New York where I go. Like, what if I need to stay home more for my kids or someone's sick? And so I think I had to develop a different stream of income, which is this tile business where I can paint from my studio here in Birmingham, Alabama, and then ship it anywhere in the world. So I think that's also important. Something I've had to learn over the years is keep different streams of income, which you do such a great job, Kristin.
I love multiple streams of income because kind of for the same reasons that you do of like, yeah, if someone in my life needs me, I don't want to be like, now I have to go shoot this wedding because I have
Mhm.
30 weddings booked and
Yeah.
obviously if I have a wedding booked, I do have to leave and go, but I think having other options just gives you so much more flexibility. So I think it's so
Totally.
important. I'm
I
glad that you feel
agree.
that way too.
And being okay with one of them failing, I think that's okay. I think that people are mostly scared of failing in a very public way. And I just honestly, I have had to just get over the fear of failing in a public way. Like if I launch this mural tile business, which is going to happen next week, wink, wink, plug to all the people listening. Um, Even if it doesn't sell, that's okay. I'm so proud of the work I made, and there is nothing wasted. Nothing is wasted with creativity. It's like the only thing that you can spend more time doing, and it just doesn't. You're spending, and you're gaining.
I agree. Yeah. I mean, but you had photography and now painting.
Hmm.
I spent a whole lot of money on a music degree that I currently
Yes.
don't use, but I'm now doing photography. And, I kind of am in the same boat as you of like, none of that was wasted. A lot of those skills transferred over.
Hmm.
And so just continuing to take steps forward, I think is so important and inspiring. And yeah, that fear of people being like, she did this thing and no one bought it. Like, honestly, no one's gonna notice,
Right.
no
You don't
one's
have to tell
gonna
anyone.
notice. Like, we just keep going. Everyone's just worried about themselves anyways. So
It's
I
true.
think, do you have anything else, as far as ways you've tried to get over that fear of doing something publicly or failure or whatever, that has helped you or that might help someone listening?
Mm. There, there's this amazing book called The War of Art. And am I saying that right? Is it War of Art? Art of
I think
War?
so. Yeah.
War of Art. And I will never forget, I read it like 7 years ago, and it was like, think of a compass, and the thing that you're most scared to do is your north. Because there's like, they say the opposite of love isn't hate, it's indifference. And so, like, if you just had indifference on something, don't do it. Like, that is not what you want to be doing. If you're scared to publish, like, the mural, if I was scared to like post the mural, it probably means it really matters to me. And so therefore it's all the more reason to do it. So I think, yeah, to whoever's listening that has fear, let it guide you. Don't let it, the fact that you fear, it feels fearful is because it's just as important. It's really important to you. And I also believe that fear and gratitude can't go hand in hand. I think there truly is like something in our brains. Like if you can worship and have gratitude, then I think that fear will be eradicated. And so if you can just wake up every day and be like, thank you, Lord, for like giving me breath in my lungs so I can paint, or that I have the skill set, or I live in a time and age where I can learn something on YouTube and it would feel really scary to post about it. Um, But yeah, I think that you'll never know until you try. And so also trying, you're not going to be great at it the first time. I'm a lot better at murals now than I was a year and a half ago, 2 years ago. And so giving yourself the freedom to fail, the freedom for something to take time. I think it's really, Instagram is the best tool ever. It's how I get most of my jobs. And it's also like such a comparison tool. Like I see all these amazing homes that have these makeovers that happen so quick. Kristen, the kitchen I'm in right now, it took us 3 years. Like three
Yeah.
full years. And like I say that there was tears. Like we hosted people here when there was no ceiling. We had like literal wires coming down. We had an international Thanksgiving at this table I'm sitting at where there's people from all over the world sitting here. And we didn't even have like a working like dishwasher at that point. And there was like, it was just crazy mess. But I think if you're waiting for like that perfect, you're going to miss out on so many good things in life. And so I'm so glad we didn't wait for this kitchen to be perfect in order to host people and have pancake mornings with our neighborhood. So many memories when good things were made without it being perfect. And I believe that's the same with art. Like, I think so many good things are going to come out of it before it becomes perfect. So that's my encouragement to whoever's like fearing that next step. Don't wait for perfection. Yeah.
That's beautiful. And I agree too. And I also agree with the gratitude practice. Almost everyone I interview on this podcast has some kind of gratitude or spiritual practice that
Yeah.
keeps them going. I mean, I even like walk through my house. I'm like, thank you, house. Like I love you. I love that like how
Mhm.
beautiful you are, how inspiring you are. Cause anything that just is a space for me to create, I try to thank it and thank the
Yeah.
people around me because you know that's how people grow, that's how things grow, and I think it comes back to you too.
Yeah, I agree 100%.
Speaking of Instagram, anything that you have learned as you have gone viral 70 billion times or whatever, like anything that you're like, okay, this is interesting, or here's a cool way to harness this as a tool. Anything that you just have really liked about Instagram?
Yeah. Oh, good question. So, for those listening, my journey has not been linear. I was faithful to post, how they tell you to, like almost every day, blah, blah, blah. But I was looking for perfection when it came to photography. Like, okay, does the grid look great? And, I think I capped out at like 5,000 followers up until last year, when my work started to go viral. I'm now at like, I don't know, 75,000, and it just keeps growing and it's so exciting and there's so much momentum there. Um, and I also started TikTok at Christmas time as like a joke. I was just like, what is that? What is everyone talking about with this TikTok thing? And I literally just posted on a whim and I got like a million views and I have like 30,000 followers. It's just funny because I think the less serious you take yourself, I really do believe that there is way more interaction. Like I said, when I go back to thinking about my photography days, I really wanted my work to feel polished and done well. And every photo I posted, even on my stories, was edited. Kristen, I don't even edit my stories anymore. I'm like, hey, here's my kid with chocolate on its face while I'm painting in the background. And I think people relate to realness, and um, I think don't always post professional photos. I really believe that. Like, yes, post your work. If you're a professional photographer, please post your beautiful work, but also post the photo of you doing something fun behind the scenes and like what got you inspired for that photo shoot. I think people are really fascinated by behind the scenes. And I think that's one of the reasons that I am growing is because I'm posting a lot of reels with my time lapses. And so people are seeing like what a before and then during and then after. Like they're seeing a whole storytelling. Um, and it's not always polished. I'm in my little jumpsuit with paint splattered all over it. My hair's in this crazy bun and I'm sweating, but it's just a fun, I think my art, I think for visual artists, Instagram is an amazing tool. And I think people really want to see the process. So using my stories as more like a blog style has been really, really fun. Like, come along with me for this mural. I'm in Washington, D.C. Look at this really fun neighborhood I'm walking in. Oh my gosh, you got to get this bagel before you go into work today. And yeah, just I think people want to see real life. I think we're all all tired of the polished look. There's some people out there for that, but if you want to see your business grow and you're a very personal person, be personal in your social media endeavors too. And yeah, I've just noticed that's one tip. A tip I have is iPhone photos do so much better than my professional photos, and that blows my mind every time.
Yeah. No, I know. It's crazy. And also, like you said, if you're a really warm, caring person, or when people meet you in person, they're like, "Oh my gosh, I want to work with you. You're so nice." And then
Yeah.
your Instagram is just very cold. Then people are like, "What? What's happening?"
Yeah, I also think that artists, for some reason, I'm a very extroverted artist. So a lot of artists are very introverted, and I love my introverted friends. But I think that if you are extroverted or just not, or if you're warm, I think you should show your personality on your page. I think that people want to know, like, either as a photographer, who are you spending that time and money with? Or who, for me, it's like, I'm going to be in your home. And so you'll probably want to trust me. You want to build that trust. You want to know more about my story, right? I love talking about my kids because that's a really great, like, people that I work for usually are grandparents or parents, and they love talking about their children. And yeah, I just think that you got to build a brand outside of your work. Your brand is also you, your energy, and your belief system. And you don't have to comment on everything happening in the world. I think that's going to be exhausting for you. Have a stance on everything that's happening in the world. That's going to be exhausting. Show up the way that you know you were supposed to be put on this earth to show up. And for me, it's to bring art and beauty and light and peace in this world. And I think the more I get to talk about that and stay in my lane, I think that is really also a really important, like, social media tactic.
Yeah, I agree. I know. I think about that of just how, um, I think in Eastern religions it's called Dharma or whatever, where everyone has their mission, and so knowing what that mission is
Mm-hmm.
and knowing how you're kind of creating goodness in the world and doing more of that. Like if everyone's kind of living in their Dharma and their purpose and their vision,
Mm-hmm.
then everyone comes together to have you know a beautiful experience on the earth. And so it's fun to see when people are really living out their values and
Yeah.
their purpose through their art or through their coaching or through their passion or their parenting.
Mm-hmm.
I think we all need more of that.
Yeah. I mean, going off of that, like, one of my favorite books I got to read, let's see, it's called The Anatomy of the Soul, and his last name is Curtis. And I think that one of the best parts of this book, and he wrote another one about creativity and community. That one's one I highly recommend. If you can't tell, I love reading about creativity. It's so important.
Yeah.
He talks about he's a theologian and a brain, like, scientist, and he studies the brain. And your right side of the brain, it truly is like on fire when you create. It's also on fire, like, it has all these amazing benefits to you when you're creating a community and you're cultivating a conversation. It's that emotion side of your brain. And so you could actually physically heal. Like, you wonder, why would I create, like, using my hands? Maybe you're a knitter. Like, why is I'm at such peace? And I really believe there is the way we were created, and, like, we can have so much more peace when we're creating. So I think that for me, art is such therapy. And they say, like, busy hands means quiet mind. So if you just want to, like, rid out the noise, do something with your hands. Like, create something, be a carpenter, like, literally learn anything. And it can be like origami, I don't care, use your hands. So that's super important.
Yes, yeah. I started reading, Martha Beck wrote a new book about anxiety or like breaking through anxiety, and her
Ooh.
her whole thesis statement is, yeah, that it's creativity, that creativity is the antidote to anxiety. So I
It
love
really
that.
is. Yeah, there's neuroscience and spirituality have been deeply studied together. And that was that author Kurt Thompson. He's the one that just says, like, that if you want to be deeper in your spirituality, there's also creativity that goes hand in hand. And so I think, yeah, I love talking about specifically creativity and soul care. Like, I think to be a very soulful, healthy person, I think that you're going to be also exploring creative endeavors.
Yeah, I agree, and I love that.
Yeah.
Do you have any goals or anything coming up that you're really excited about or that you're hoping to explore? I guess when you think about that 40, 50-year-old version of Liz, like what are some of those things you're hoping manifest or come into your life in the next 10, 20 years?
Ooh, great question. Yeah, so something that's happening just currently in the season that's a lot of fun moving parts is that I'm moving into a studio next week, actually. And that's going to be really fun. So I'm based out of Birmingham, Alabama. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. So I interchange those cities a lot. But then I also fly all around the world. So having like a home base of a studio, I think will allow me to paint more murals on tiles, also some tapestries. Like I'm thinking
Yeah.
like the concept of mini murals. So if someone can't hire me to come out to California, I can paint a massive canvas and have them unroll it and hang it. So just accessibility. I want to be able to be more accessible to a lot of different types of clients. My work is more of like a luxury higher end brand. So I'm not making, you're like a very like accessible to anybody brand, but I want to be able at least people to experience beauty no matter if they're just on Instagram or they own a piece of my art. So that's coming up, studio, and then my tile brand is coming out this, and then if thinking like long term, the next 10 years, I would love to do creative retreats. So talking about that creative soul care, my dream is to take I really just love women investing in women and yeah, having them have such a firm identity in who they're created to be. Um, and yeah, I would love to take them on a retreat similar to what you do, Kristen, and maybe a little bit different, maybe some more topics and a lot of free time because I think we don't get a lot of time just to listen and to be calm and to like not have so many things talking at us. So I think that's part of my hope, and I want to combine my love for travel with women and teaching and creativity. So I could see it happening, like maybe in the Cotswolds of England.
Yeah, that
um,
sounds
I
stunning.
do love Asia. That's specifically a place that I really enjoy traveling to, and we both, Kristen, we love travel, and I've been to like 30 something countries, and yeah, I would love to empower more people to travel. So that's part of it. But I don't know. Thinking of the 50-year-old Liz, I think she would be doing more teaching. I think I am a very connectivity, like I love people and relationships. And so going on these murals is amazing, going on these trips, but it is very solo, individualistic. So one day I might pare down to like 10, 20 a year and then do some more like exploratory with other things. But yeah, right now it's been a fun ride and I'm just trying to see what's sustainable, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Are you bumping up against your limits at this point? Like how many murals are you doing taking in a month and where do you notice a time where you're like this is too much or I'm
hmm
not able to take care of myself at this rate? Like where are you are you hitting those walls yet?
Yeah, I'm hitting them. I think you can't know until you try. I think you can't know your limits until you've gotten to your limit. So I'm like giving
Yeah.
myself a lot of grace in that. Um, I am doing about 2 murals a month right now. So it's averaging, I probably did 25 in this 2025 calendar year, and that was too much because if you think about it, that's one every other week. So I'm like gone a week, come home
Hmm.
with my kids for a week, and then I'm gone again, home, gone, home. And that's a really hard, I think, rhythm.
Yeah.
I don't love the word scheduling, creative. I'm like, run away from that. I like the word rhythms, and that was not a great rhythm. So I'm going to try and take on maybe only one a month next year. I'm already like 70% booked for next year. So what that looks to my fellow listeners is that I try and only do one like travel. And then if it happens to be in the Southeast, that's a little bit more manageable for driving. But my goal is to one day work like part part of the year in Europe or in a place. And so kind of staying somewhere for months at a time and painting and traveling that way. So that's a goal one day. But yeah, I think sustainability means no burnout, and no burnout means staying home a little bit more. And then so finding that balance is just trial and error. But I'm
Yeah.
so grateful for the work I'm able to do, and it's a good problem to have to be at my limit. So I have to keep reminding myself that.
Yeah, for sure. That I one thing I always come back to is how incredible it is as creatives, as women,
Mhm.
as mothers, as parents, kind of whatever you find yourself in life, to have a passion or a business that really you can tweak at different seasons of your life. It's like, I have more capacity and I want to be in person more. I'm going to take on a
Mhm.
few more of these big projects this year. Or, like, actually, my kids need a lot right now and I want to be home more, and let me have something that I can do at home and can ship out. Like, we have so many options with how to like craft and mold our businesses, and just because we go one direction one year doesn't mean we can't like lean back into the other the next year. And again, why I like love the multiple streams of income thing too, because you really just
Yeah.
can like flow with your life. So I love that you're doing that, and I love to see all the different iterations of your creativity, and how that just gets to like go out into the world. That's really, really cool.
Mhm. Yeah, I think different seasons offer different things. My kids are still very young. Like I have a 17-month-old that's still in diapers and needs mommy every time, like wakes up from a nap. I still have a 4-year-old who's not even in kindergarten yet. So yeah, I think if I keep looking at my motherhood being limited in the bad way, I think I'll resent having children and resent the parameters that are around me. But oh my gosh, there's such wonderful things about it. Like I'm so glad that like right now in this season I'm more at home, which means I get to invest in my home. Like I feel like my house and the renovations and the decorating has been an amazing inspiration point. I think one of the reasons I went viral is because I was so about home and creating a home, and it being such a yeah a generous open space for people to feel loved when they walk in. And I think that that bled into, I hope, my art. And one of the reasons I think people are drawn to it, there's definitely peace and light in here. And I want to cultivate that, whether it's on Instagram or in person.
Yeah, I like really love that your house has been your canvas too, and kind of the jumping off place for a lot of your art.
Yes.
'Cause yeah, it's like right there, and it's right there, and so many options for you. So,
I
do you have
mean,
a project?
I just hope people know that they can, it's your house. You can do whatever you want with it. Like
Yeah.
use of free will. This is your permission. Like I'm literally about to paint my front door like folk art. And I'm like, why don't I see more like red doors with like flowers all over it? Free will. You can do whatever you want. So I think that's also, I think being an artist means being like a child. You've got to play. You've got to get over being too serious. I see too many artists be too serious, and you gotta let go a little bit.
I love to look through like realtor.com and Zillow. Like, I love house shopping. And I found
Uh-huh.
one today that I'm like, an artist lived in this house, because the hardwood floors had been painted in all these patterns, and like in a really cool way. Like, maybe not what I would pick, but I was like, this person used their house like a canvas. And it was really cool to see that. Like, it just felt like a
Of
storybook,
course.
and like,
I
yeah,
yeah,
why
I
not?
environment influences you no matter what. I think that's probably, Kristen, why you're drawn to old houses. You're probably an old soul like me. Like it just
Yeah.
impacts where you wake up, where you fall asleep, where you do your mundane matters. And so I think making your mundane space beautiful, no matter if it's a rental or your long-term house, invest in it because your environment matters so much.
I agree. So yeah, I agree. I went through my house, and like, well, me and ChatGPT have been redesigning different. I was like, help me
Love it.
make it feel better, and I'll just like move a plant or like do this
Hmm.
thing, and yeah, it really changes your whole outlook. And I wake up and I want to create something. So
Yeah.
I
Oh,
love
it's
that.
that high, that energy that you get from just like moving your couch. You're just like, oh, man, this is better than a extra cup of coffee.
Yeah, totally, totally. Well, Liz, I'm so excited that we got to chat today. If people want to connect with you and your tile and your murals, where can they find you?
Yes. Well, you can find me online on Instagram. It's at Liz Allison. So that's double L's. And then they can find me on TikTok, which is at Liz Allison Art. and then my website, which is lizallisonart.com. And yeah, I've been in a couple of publications, so just keep a lookout on your your magazines. I've been able to tell some of my story through some magazines, which has been fun. So yeah, that's Instagram. I'm on it quite a bit just because it feels so natural. Yeah, I'd love to connect there and get to hear other people's art stories.
Amazing, Liz. Well, thank you so much, and can't wait to see all the new things coming out and get some of that tile in my kitchen too.
Oh, girl. Well, hey, can I end on a fun story?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so all my friends that are listening that are just like creative or wanting to pursue creativity, one of my favorite stories is, who knows if it's real or not, but we'll imagine it's real. So Pablo Picasso is sitting at a cafe, and a lady walks up and she's like, "Oh, will you paint me? Like, here's a napkin. Like, just draw me real quick." And he's like, "Okay." And so he draws her and then hands over the napkin, and he's like, "That'll be $5,000. And she's like, "What? $5,000? You did that in 5 minutes?" And he said, "No, ma'am, that took me my entire life." And so I want to end on that, wherever you want to be one day, it's going to be because you spent your whole life cultivating that. It's not about the time that it took to do it. Like right now I can make a mural pretty quickly, and I'm so thankful for that, but it took my whole life, my training, my failures, my successes, everything to get to that point. So don't give up on creating, even in the mundane, because it's building on each other. So I want all the listeners just to be encouraged by that.
That's a beautiful thing. Thank you, Liz, and thanks for coming
Kristin.
and sharing your story.
Thanks, friend. We'll talk soon. See you in Paris?
Yeah, exactly. Thanks for listening to today's episode of the Dangerous Creatives podcast. Check out dangerschool.com to join our community and support the show. Thanks to our team, Jen Madigan Creative, for producing, and to Fire Choir for our intro music. Tune in again next time, and thanks for your support.